This is my neglected garlic bed that I haven't done anything with. And this garlic in here is like, it's been in here for like 10 years. Oh, worms. Look at that. Look at that bunch of, look at this. Check this out. Isn't that incredible? I could separate these and grow them individually, but I call them garlic greens now. Now normally I wouldn't pull anything. What I would do is lay paper down, but I need the garlic gone because it'll grow right through the paper. So I'll just keep pulling it out. And eventually it'll be gone. But anyways, this is going to be my new onion bed. Okay, so I'm going to leave the weeds in here and I'm going to lay paper. I'm going to put another cinder block row on top, and they're 8 inches tall, and there's another 4 inches or 5 inches here, so that's well over a foot depth. I'm growing like 5 or 7 varieties this year. Oh, that's a walking onion. Look at that. I had walking onions at this end. If you want to know where I got this paper, I got this at Home Depot. The paints, I think it's near the paint section. All right. I had just enough cinder blocks. That was because I had it this height at one time, years ago, and then took it down. All right, I'm going to fill this up and get back to you guys. Okay, so this bed is completely filled up. Now, these cinder blocks are 8 inches tall, so it's 8 times 3 is 24, so this is a 24-inch bed. And the paper, of course, I put down, it's about 12 inches below the top here. And so that paper will break down fairly quickly, and it will kill the weeds that are in there. And so I'll have a lot more than 12 inches for these onions to grow. But anyways, the mix that I used, I'll put a link below to a video I did on what I use to fill the raised beds with. Mostly what I've got here, though, is I have my compost you saw me filling it up with compost. And then on the top, I put a thin layer of composted chicken manure and a thin layer of worm castings. Now, I didn't mix it into the compost because I want it on top, because when it rains or whenever I water, it'll slowly seep down and feed my plants. If it was completely mixed in, a lot of times you're wasting your nutrients, because let's say that it's down, a foot down, it rains, and then the rain and the water pushes the nutrients even farther. Whereas if you use your worm castings and whatnot as a mulch, then it's kind of like a slow release. It'll just slowly seep into your bed. So that's what I've used here: compost and worm castings and composted chicken manure. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plant my onions in here. And I should also mention, if you can see these down here, these are 3 of the garlic. They were just enormous. And I couldn't throw them away. They were so large. They're probably going to split, and I'm going to end up with some giant garlic. Now, I don't know what variety it is. It could even be an elephant. If it's an elephant garlic, well, then the case is they're not giant. They're just normal size garlic. But I couldn't throw them away. I put them down there. After 10 years, I've had about 30 different garlic in here, so I don't know what variety it is. But anyways, if you're wondering about that, that's what's going on. So let me get my onions, and we're going to start planting in this bed. Okay, so I'm going to plant these theelsacraig. I'm going to let these other ones stay in here for a little bit while longer. They were much older seed, and they haven't come up yet. The Tosca actually started coming up a little bit more. After 2 weeks, they're just still starting to come up through the surface. And so because they were older seed, it takes a lot longer. Sometimes they don't even germinate. Probably, I mean, I'm guessing these other ones may not even germinate, but that's the price you pay for not planting your seeds right away when they're 5 years old or whatever, or 3 even. Sometimes you just don't get germination. So I think all of the theelsacraig are up. So we're going to go ahead and plant all of the theelsacraig right now. Let me shake this out of here. Yeah, see those right there, they're starting to intertwine, but just a little tug like that, and they will come right apart, just like that. Okay, so when I plant these, I just make a hole, drop them in. Now, a lot of people will tell you, don't plant these deep. Well, you know what? I do. I plant them deep. I plant them right up. Let me get one here and show you. See right here, it's got white. I plant it all the way up till the white stops and it starts turning green. So the reason why I plant them deep is because an onion doesn't just form downward. It forms, you know, upward, downward, left and right. And so the onion, even if I plant this plant deep, the onion is still going to be, you know, a third of it or so is still going to be up above the soil because the onion is going to form upward as well as downward. So I'm not worried about planting these deep. They're going to be just fine. So in this bed here, I'm planting them about 6 or 8 inches apart. And this bed is 32 inches across here. So and there's no science to this. I'm eyeballing it. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking. He's upset because he's in the house. Well, I had him out here, and he didn't stay with me, a little booger. Now, also, some people have mentioned, when I've shown my onion growing videos before as well, they said, these are really spindly. They're not going to survive. Well, I also did a video in the summer where they not only survived, they thrived, and I grew giant onions. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these planted. And they don't have to be perfect rows either. The onions don't care. See, now that one there I planted halfway down. I buried it halfway. And that's okay. Okay, these guys are on their own now. The trick is get them in early. Put them in good, rich soil. And I pretty much ignore them. And unless it gets hot and dry, then I will water them if they need it. But they're not going to get any more nutrients, no compost, no chicken manure, no worm castings. They are on their own. And you know what? They're perfectly happy to not be messed with. Now let me do a little experiment here for you, to see how deep we can actually go with these little transplants. Okay, watch this. I've got this one right here. It's got another set of leaves coming out right here. I'm going to bury it way up to here. Watch this. See that? There's about an inch sticking up. So let's try that. Let's just see how well that does. All right, so today is March 1st. I've got them all watered in. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows. 9 times 4 is 36. So planting them densely, when I seed them in those little 4-inch cells, I was able to put 36 plants. Actually, there was more than that. Some of them were really thin, and I just tossed them. But I got 36 nice, healthy onion plants out of that one cell because I planted them densely. Now the deep one is over here. This is the one I planted all the way down except for about an inch or inch and a half. And hopefully we're going to dispel that myth once and for all that you can't plant them really deep. So let's keep an eye on that one in that corner. The rest of them, I mean all of them, they're going to do, I think they're going to grow like gangbusters. So as I mentioned, the trick is to get your onions in early. Get the seeds started in middle of February, and a couple weeks later get them out into the ground. If the ground is not frozen and it can still be worked, then go ahead and plant them because they don't mind the cold at all. Now if your ground is going to freeze back up and you're going to get 20 below zero again, then I would wait. But for most people I think they can plant now if the ground is workable. So with me, the ground never freezes, so I can plant them anytime. But if you hadn't started seeds in the middle of February and you still want to plant, just go down to your local nursery right now and they will probably have onion starts for you, just like I planted. Of course, theirs will be bigger because they probably started them in January and they want to get a jump on everybody else, so they want to get the biggest ones out there for people to plant. But that's okay. Just put them in and they'll do just fine. So the trick is get them in now. So get down to your nursery, get your onion starts and get them in the ground. And come June, they're going to start growing bulbs, and by August or so, you're going to have some huge onions. All right, well, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell so you'll get notified when I do new uploads. All right, we'll catch you guys later.